Glad you're with us at 4 o'clock. I'm David Ushery.
And I'm Jen Maxfield in for Natalie Pasquarella. It is a tricky travel conundrum. How to stop the spread of coronavirus without an outright ban on travel in the tri-state area.
Today, Governor Cuomo gave our neighbors a pass of not having to quarantine. However, he is strongly urging everyone to avoid any non-essential travel between the states right now. A majority of the U.S. is on New York's COVID travel restriction list. Arizona and Maryland were added today. That brings the total to 40 states and territories. We've got team coverage. We'll begin with News 4's Phil Lipoff, who's out in Fort Lee. Phil?
Hey, David, I'm at the base of the George Washington Bridge, as you point out, in Fort Lee. You got to think to yourself, how many people go across and back on this bridge every single day? New Jersey and Connecticut meet the criteria for New York's quarantine list, but they're not on it because the governors in the region see this as a region. So they got on a phone call today to figure out what they could do to help stop the spread in the region. And what they came up with was discouraging, not stopping, but discouraging non-essential travel.
For months now, Governors Cuomo, Murphy, and Lamont have been working together to keep COVID infections in the region down. Now, New Jersey and Connecticut are seeing a spike in cases, and the governors are trying to figure out what to do about it, with the tri-states so intertwined.
So we're going to be working with Connecticut and New Jersey to see how we can help them with their spikes, and also talk to Connecticut and New Jersey about making it clear that to the extent travel among the states or between the states is not essential, it should be avoided.
Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont echoing Governor Cuomo's words late this afternoon.
And what we decided to do was, for our 3 states, we're almost like one region. So there's going to be no travel advisory as regards travel among our 3 states. And that said, urge everybody to stay close to home as best you can. No need to do non-essential travel.
So if you're not driving into New Jersey, there are other ways to get there. There's the ferry, there's New Jersey Transit here at Penn Station, where the idea of restricting non-essential travel was met with mixed reviews.
I think it'll be very difficult for people that work in the city.
Judy Brandt is here for a doctor's appointment. She likes her doctor, but would do what the governors ask of her.
I'm sure mine would be non-essential, but, you know.
And then you'd listen to them and find a doctor in Jersey?
Yep, I would.
Governor Murphy spoke about it yesterday. All 3 are on the same page, not stopping non-essential travel, but discouraging it. And with 40 states and territories now on New York's quarantine list, 2 more added just today, Arizona and Maryland, everyone is searching for new ways to tackle the weeks and months ahead.
Months and weeks that health experts tell us could actually be pretty difficult. The open question right now, of course, if you're not going to enforce this, which, as the governors say, would be nearly impossible, how many people? Will there be enough people who will listen to the governors? We're live in Fort Lee. Phil Lipoff, NBC4 New York.
Phil, thank you. In New York, the positivity rates keep dropping. In the hotspot areas, the rate dropped below 3%, and in the rest of the state, it stands at 1.25. In New Jersey, the number of positive cases exceeded 1,000 for the 3rd day in a row, bringing the positivity rate there to 1.13%. The growing numbers come as the state's largest school district announced it will not bring students back to class in person and will keep remote learning through at least late January. News 4's New Jersey reporter Brian Thompson is live tonight from Newark. Brian, this is a big decision.
Big decision for Newark. Also, Patterson announcing the same thing sometime in January anyway, before they have their students return. 2 of the biggest school systems in the state. Newark is the biggest, no question about it. But the reality is that this pandemic, at least in this city, is not under control here. Newark is one of the hardest hit communities in New Jersey. Testing showing nearly 200 new cases since Friday, according to Mayor Ross Baraka. For School Superintendent Roger Leon,
there has been a surge in the actual number of positives, not only as it relates to the state and in Newark, but even in our own collection of our own data with our own staff members.
Many schools here are old, 100 years or more, an extra challenge to keep sanitized all day long. Still, in his Facebook address last night, Mayor Baraka admits he's feeling the heat to reopen.
The last couple of weeks, I've been getting beat up by students and getting beat up by parents who were sick of their kids being in the house. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. It's important for us to make the right decisions on this, y'all.
The right decision for the mayor was to keep them closed until January. Virtual learning to continue. The father of an 8th grader telling me,
I think it's better for the health. Personally, I do. because, you know, a lot of these schools are old, and I've been hearing a lot about the ventilation.
But other wealthier school systems, such as South Orange, Maplewood, will return to some in-person learning in November. Governor Murphy, who toured this hybrid school in Robbinsville last month, today saying it's still up to each district to decide.
We made no bones about it. Our objective is to get kids into in-person education as soon as we can do it. But remember, the principles are safety, high-quality education, equity.
That equity is a big issue. I asked the superintendent here about that this afternoon in our Zoom call, and he said that they have made substantial improvements in their virtual learning since they had to scramble, along with everybody else, last spring to institute it. He says there are improvements in curriculum and other areas that are making a better difference and getting them closer to the equity that the governor was talking about. Live in Newark, Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
Brian, thank you. There is one school district in our area that's now shut down until further notice, with one exception. The Orange County Health Commissioner is extending the shutdown in Curious Joel, except for the public school in the town of Palm Tree. Officials say schools that are shut down have not reported testing data as required and have not followed mask and social distancing requirements. We're told that some of the schools have even defied the shutdown order altogether. And Connecticut is reporting a new spike in coronavirus cases. The positivity rate jumped to 3%. That's the highest number since June. Governor Ned Lamont says another 22 people have been hospitalized with the virus. He's urging residents to stay disciplined for a little bit longer.